On number 13, you're asked to find the value of the discriminant and find the number of solutions for the following quadratic. So remember, the discriminant is part of the quadratic formula, which tells us the solutions to a quadratic. It's just another way of finding them. The discriminant is the part under the square root. And so remember, you cannot take the square root of a negative number. At least not at this point in math career. In Algebra 2, you'll find out that creates an imaginary number. But for now, we can't take the square root of a negative. So if you get your discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac part, as being negative, that means you have no solution. So remember, when you look at the graph of the parabola, that means that it does not cross the x-axis at all. So that would be one that has no solution. Now, if you take the square root of 0, well, it's just 0. And so in the quadratic formula, one time you add the square root of the discriminant, and the next time you subtract it. Well, it wouldn't matter if you add 0 or subtract 0. You're not going to get a different answer. So if your discriminant is 0, then that just means you have one solution. Because again, it wouldn't matter if you add 0 or subtract 0, it's the same thing. So on a graph, that means that it's the vertex only that is touching the x-axis. It only has one point, which is the solution. And then finally, if you have a positive number, then if you took the square root of 4, you know that's 2. So one time you would add 2, and the next time you would subtract 2. Well, you would get two different answers if you added 2 and then you subtracted 2. Those are different things. And so anytime you have a positive discriminant, that's when you have two solutions. And so if we were looking at the graph, that would mean our parabola would cross the x-axis in two places. And so we just need to find b squared minus 4ac to tell how many solutions the quadratic has. So remember, a quadratic in standard form is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is the number in front of the x squared. So in our problem, our a value is 2. B is the number in front of x, so our b value is 8. And c is the constant, the number without a variable. So in our case, c is negative 11. So don't forget that sign goes with the number. So 8 was positive because there was an addition in front of it. So now that we have identified a, b, and c, we're ready to find the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. Anytime you put a number in for a variable, you should put it inside parentheses. So I'm going to replace the b, a, and c with parentheses. Notice the squaring is outside the parentheses. Only the number goes inside the parentheses. So I'm going to replace the first parentheses with 8. So I'll have 8 squared, but the 8's in parentheses. Minus 4, and then my a value goes in that parentheses, and a was 2. And then c goes in this parentheses, which is negative 11. So that's exactly how I will put that in my calculator. So I'm going to hit second mode to quit and get out of the graph. And I'm going to open parentheses and put 8, and close parentheses and square it. Minus, not negative, but minus 4, since there's something in front of it you're subtracting. And then in parentheses the 2, and then in another parentheses the negative 11. So my answer is 152. Now, is 152 negative? Is it 0 or is it positive? Well, 152 is positive. So that tells me the number of solutions is 2. It doesn't tell me what they are, it just tells me that there are 2 of them.